that out of the way. But we want to start off with just going around, so taking yourself off mute. And I want to ask you two questions. The first question is, I want to say or ask you all, what is your favorite thing to order in the snack bar? And number two, give an example of where you have seen ministry take place in the snack bar or coffee shop area. So I'm going to start at the top of my screen. Angela, that's you again. So we'll start with Angela, then we'll go to MC, Annie and Gracie. You guys will be third, Sam, Debbie, and Allie. So Angela, first of all, start with your favorite thing to order at the snack bar. And then where have you seen ministry take place in the snack bar?
Favorite thing to order, I think, would be the stuffed pretzel. Just all around a great option. Ministry taking place, I feel like I think of two things, but I think the first thing is I feel like it's just a place where kids can feel really thought of and seen before they step up to the counter of like culturally or just in many ways of like connecting with them through food or different things on the menu where they're like, oh, I'm familiar with that. And they thought about me coming before I even came. And then I think the second thing would just be getting to watch the leaders share a pretzel or nachos together at a table and have a one-on-one over something like, hey, we're going to treat you to nachos or something. And then they go have their one-on-one together. So
Nice. Thank you.
I love a good chocolate malt. Sharp Top doesn't have that here. So I would say maybe here my favorite is the lemonade slushy. It's just refreshing. It's good. And then I think it's really fun to see leaders get to come up with their kids and say like, hey, I've got you, you're on my ticket. And that's really fun because I mean, a lot of times kids are so like awkward and they're like, no, you don't have to, you don't have to. And the leader's like, no, but I'm going to. So I think that that's really sweet to watch and just see kids be like loved on that way.
Awesome. I mean, MC, maybe the chocolate malt needs to make an appearance at Earl's. You get to decide. So, all right, next. I think that's you, Annie and Gracie.
Okay, great. I like a simple soft serve ice cream cone personally, pretty simple. And I haven't really seen our snack bar open. I worked it a few times, but I feel like I haven't seen it open enough to have a great story behind it. But Gracie definitely would.
Yeah, I think my favorite item to get is probably soft pretzel, the stuffed ones. I think they're fun. But yeah, I think some of my favorite moments happened when I was on Young Life staff and field staff and just taking kids to the snack bar. And like MC was talking about, just getting to pay for them and love them and get to have life stories and talk about life with them.
Awesome. Thanks, Gracie.
I would say my favorite item is like a regular soft pretzel. I love those things. And my favorite like ministry opportunity through the snack bar, I'm just thinking like as a leader, I always use the snack bar as an excuse to get a kid on a one-on-one. I always would be like, hey, let's go grab a treat. And then they're forced to like sit and hang out and talk with you. And you can talk to them about Jesus. And so like being on the other side, watching that happen and then watching them go sit down and have really intentional conversations has been sweet.
Great. Thank you.
My favorite item is something we're not selling this summer, which is sad, but also probably fine for me. It's vanilla soft serve with gummy bears and just those delicious Albanese gummy bears because they're the best. But that's probably my favorite snack bar treat. And then definitely the things that you all have said about ministry. But I would say added on to that little different perspective. I love in the coffee shop, because I also am in food service, love getting to treat our like AM cooks, especially, but also PM cooks, just to a coffee treat in the afternoon and to surprise them and be like, hey, let's go over to the coffee shop and get something on me. And yeah, just adds a little bit of boost of energy. It's a way to bless our volunteers, and it's something that's physically helpful too sometimes, just to wake up. So I think that piece of getting to honor and treat our volunteers, it's just a way to give back to them. So I love that.
Great. All right. Let's see, Allie, are you next?
My favorite.
Sutton.
Oh yeah, should I go?
Yes.
Okay. My favorite treat is just a good soft serve with Reese's, and I'm gluten-free, so I've never been able to get a cone at our snack bar. So this year we're going to offer gluten-free cones. So kind of for me, but also for those who are gluten-free. And then my favorite ministry opportunity basically, we've started this question of the day at Gold Bricks and 10 Cup. And so I just put out a little framed question of the day. And I haven't done it in the summer yet, but we've done it for some off-season groups, and it's been really awesome. And so, yeah, my hope is that a father and son can go there and talk about life together and kind of have a prompting for that.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Allie.
My favorite treat is a cookies and cream frappuccino made with coffee. It's so good. It's the big train mix, so it's really sugary and it tastes just like Oreos and coffee together, and I love it. And I would say my favorite way to see ministry is when the summer staff girls get to know the names of campers, and so when they come up to the snack bar every day at the beach, they say, "Oh, hey, Corey, like, how's it going? Like, do you want a pina colada today?" Or like they say, "Hey, Brittany, how was the parasail ride?" And it's to get to watch a camper's face light up because a summer staff remembered their name is just really, really special. And I can only imagine how they feel like they get to belong in the snack bar because of it.
Thank you. And Amy Wolf, I see you joined us. Are you able to share your favorite thing to order at the snack bar? Yes, but I have to type it, she says. All right, well, you type away, Amy, and I'll go to Tammy next. Favorite thing to order, Tammy?
Oh, well, I'm kind of with Sutton on the gluten-free, but typically because I forget to go home for lunch, I'll go get a gluten-free corn dog with some nacho cheese to dip it into. But yeah, we also have gluten-free cones, and they're great. I don't get a lot of ice cream, but it's nice to know that you can feel normal.
Nice. Nice. Okay, Amy says, help me with this, Angela. Do you know what it is? A magnota?
A mango nata.
Okay, so you know the menu there very well. So can you explain what that is? Or does she for guest? Soft pretzel and candy.
Mango nata, it's like an MC. Y'all have this at Cricket too, but it's like a mango mix with chili lime powder and chamoy, and then you top it off with, we put like chamoy covered straws, like a candy inside of the drink, and it's a famous Mexican drink, and it's really good. It kind of has a spicy, sweet mixed all together in a drink, so it's really good.
Sounds amazing. And I know you were there, so you know that menu well, so I appreciate that. And then she said knowing kids' names. That is great. Well, I start off with that question because, yes, we serve yummy things from salty pretzels and corn dogs, the gluten-free ones, to super sweet things like Big Train. One of my personal favorites, ice cream sandwich down at the beach at Saranac with 2 home-baked cookies. Love that. But I also want us to remember one of the key functions of the concession areas, and that is a place where ministry happens. I'm not going to read all of the purpose and philosophy, but the one I would put as a highlight to you is that our concession space is a place for all guests to experience Jesus in a new and deeper way, whether that's being called by name, whether that's being invited to a one-on-one, whether that's encouragement to I love, Debbie, that you included our staff, our summer staff. I recall at Clearwater watching our landscape supervisor put a tab at the snack bar, and every Friday when they were doing hard tasks, he would buy a big group dessert called a bait bucket, and all the summer staff and landscape would gather around and devour it. Those are the ministry moments that we get to create in the snack bar. The store has a lot of details and a lot of formal processes, but I don't want us to miss, as we transition to talking about concessions, that there is a sweet thing that happens beyond the sweet things that we get to serve. So ministry mindedness is where we're going to start. All right, so if you're keeping up on notes, we're going to start with standard and policies. And I'm going to highlight we have a couple of key policies that help in the running of our snack bars. And there's 3 that I want to highlight for you. The first is all, and it really does mean all, retail managers and retail specialists need to hold a Serve Safe or food handler certification. Now, this is a change from years past where you had to take a class. It was like a couple $100. We've moved to just having your food handling license. And this certification needs to be on display somewhere, typically in your stock room where you keep all your supplies. And I would also note that you want to work with your food service manager and within your county's health codes, which your food service manager should be an expert on. So start there when determining how you get that food handlers and how often you update it. This can be and often is something that you take online. So if you have an intern or a specialist that's coming on staff, you might send this link before they get there. But it is something that we want to prioritize because how we handle food is often the most important way we serve food the right way, is knowing how to handle it properly. I also love that my food service manager has always been a consultant, whatever camp I've been at. I've reached out to him or her at many occasions at the beginning of the season and say, come walk through before the health inspector comes, or come check in and tell me what things I've missed, kind of doing an audit of sorts. So key thing there is have that handler's certification and then utilize your food service manager's expertise. All right, secondly, is all retail staff and volunteers will follow the food handling guidelines in section VA3, but they're actually listed below, which Tammy's going to share with you in just a moment. But these are all of the details from temperatures to numbers of days that something should be kept in a freezer or refrigerator setting, how we practice hand washing or wearing of gloves. So we'll get to that, but everyone should read those. So in your training protocols, please include those in your checklist on training whenever food is involved. And the last one is we practice FIFO, which is first in, first out. So this really impacts when we're restocking. It's be real natural when, let's say, the smoothie mix comes in from Big Train or US Foods to just put it in the refrigerator. But there's an intentionality that we want to put the new ones in the back and let the newest one or the oldest ones come to the front. So when we reach into the refrigerator to grab something, we're reaching the most or the first in. So we want to make sure that we're rotating inventory correctly. And that's called FIFO, first in, first out. All right, I'm going to pause for just a second. Any questions about those things that I mentioned? All right, there's just a few of them. All right, now we're going to talk about food handling. Again, your Serve Safe will go in much more detail, but these are the 6 things that we wanted to really emphasize. And while we're going through these, just underline and highlight those keywords. And Tammy, can you help walk through those?
Yeah, so I'm just going to ask you guys to, I'll call your name, give you a letter, read them out loud. So I'm just going to go off of my screen here. So Allie, will you read A? Angela B, Annie C, Gracie D, Sam F, and MC G.
So A says, upon arrival for each shift, all concessions workers must tie back loose hair, wash hands, and wear gloves. Wash hands and change gloves often throughout each shift and when necessary.
Sanitize all food prep areas after food prep has been completed. For example, clean out microwaves between uses, wipe down prep countertops, and clean as you go.
All foods stored in a refrigerator must be dated and held at a temperature at or below 41 degrees Fahrenheit.
All food stored in the freezer must be dated and held at below or at or below a temperature of 0 degrees Fahrenheit.
Sam, your microphone, you're still muted.
So sorry, that's embarrassing, guys. Okay. All food that is not shelf stable and has been prepared and being held in a warming drawer must be at or above 140 degrees Fahrenheit until served.
All food intended to be saved must be held in a sealed container and stored in a refrigerator or freezer with a label stating the item name and the cook date. Saved food items stored in a refrigerator must be used within 7 days of the cook date.
I guess I forgot somebody. I'll take the last one. Or I miscounted. Easy to do. All open cartons of alternative milk, gallons of milk, smoothie mix, etc., must be labeled with the date they were open and used within 7 days of the open date. So let's just go back over which on A, what are things that stood out? What did you guys underline?
But it's really important that hair is put away. I mean, there's nothing more gross than finding a hair in your food or your drink. And so how it's important to keep that out of there.
Yeah. And one thing, I didn't start doing this. It was just always in our snack bar. We have extra hair ties just stashed away for that because we have a lot of volunteers that come in and don't realize the health codes that we need to hold to. So we've always got them. And I mean, for the guys now too, but I just buy them at Target, those cheap leg bundles, and put them away until needed.
And one thing I would add too to that is just that not only is it keeping hair out of the food, but it's also hopefully keeping their hair out of their face so they're not touching it or messing with it, because people do that constantly. And so sometimes you have to kind of watch because they could technically have their hair pulled back, but it still could be like dangling down in their face. So good thing to kind of train so that it's not a distraction.
Yeah. And if they touch their hair or face, they have to wash their hands. And so that's that thing as you're training, it's one of those things you don't realize how often you're touching, you have a scratch. Okay. And as you remind them, okay, you got to go wash your hands, they get in that habit. So. All right. Anything on B that stood out for everybody?
I think just clean as you go. It's pretty like quick to get dirty in there, especially if it's either like, summer stuff are moving quick, there's a long line, things like that. And I think just making sure like between uses we're like, hey, like we're cleaning things out if it gets gross, and things aren't just getting caked in the microwave or things like that. So
Yeah. Okay, C.
I think for us, we've learned the hard way when you don't have working refrigerators and freezers, how it impacts your return on investment. Many times we've had a freezer dip below or the refrigerator dip below that temperature, and we've had to throw things out. And so keeping in a temperature, a thermometer is really important, because we've seen what happens when you.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Allie. I had to buy thermometers because you open a refrigerator, how are you going to know it's the right temperature? So buying those and posting them there. And to your point, Allie, I don't know what it is about the refrigerator, but the door, with some models, they pop open, and if you're in and out of them a lot, they can be left open and melt everything that's in them overnight. So you might look at a cup, whether it's a lock, a bungee cord, a note, a reminder, something that at the end of the shift, everyone remembers how to close up a refrigerator and freezer, especially if you're not using a commercial grade one. That's something to note.
Yeah, and some of them come with thermometers, digital ones on the outside. You still have to have an internal thermometer in there. So just keep extras stashed away because they break, they fall, they get lost. I mean, I've seen everything happen, but it's just have a few extras just in case. And the other thing about the temperature gauges, check in with your food service managers because they're, Debbie, you might remind me something in the name of fresh, where we're able to put monitors on our fridges and freezers. So then if power goes out, something happens, we get email reminders or triggers to say something's happening with the equipment. Was I right on something fresh?
Yeah, it was Fresh Temps. We actually just moved away from that system, and there's a different one that's a one-time cost instead of having to pay on it every year. And so, if I remember correctly, they're fairly inexpensive to install, but it might be worth it. Our freezer literally just went out yesterday, and so we had to move everything, kitchen freezer, not the other one, but. Yeah, but that temperature monitoring can be really helpful if you don't happen to be there and notice that your fridge or freezer isn't working, so you don't lose all that product. So yeah, I can get more info if anyone's interested in those.
Thank you. Okay, on D. I think that kind of goes with C, but I don't know if anybody else underlined anything else besides. For me, must be dated. Just have masking tape there and a Sharpie. And you can just be putting dates on everything because then a milk jug, you just have to write with the Sharpie. You don't have to tape it. But other things, if you're using any food safe containers, you don't want to keep putting Sharpies on that. So those dates are really important.
That's great. I actually kept a magnetic little shelf on the front door of the refrigerator that had masking tape and a Sharpie in there. So it was always accessible to me when I was coming in and out and training summer staff to date things on stock day. So just little tricks.
And even if you know you're going to use something in one day, or you think you are, still just date it because you really don't know what could happen. And then if somebody comes in behind you, they just don't know when it got open. So they may just dump it. And then now we've just wasted product. Okay, on E, what stood out? And this will be very specific to camps because not every camp has warming drawers. I don't know anybody that does, do they? Yeah, but it's just, it's more for the kitchen. Debbie's going, yeah, I got this. The temperature wise of 140 degrees. And then F, what stood out?
That use by time frame, 7
Yeah.
days.
That 7-day, and an example that things that we will save most often in school season is our nacho cheese bags. Once they come out of the warmer, we put them in a food safe container and then dump ice on them because you want to get that temp down as fast as possible, and then it just goes into the fridge. And then the next time we need it, we pull it out and put it in the warmer. All right, G.
I have a quick question on nacho cheese, Tammy.
Yeah.
If we're not using it in a warmer, but it's like we have like, say Gales, they have like not Gales, but we buy it at the US Foods and it comes in a bag. So you can't like dump it out and then you're gonna put it back in the bag. Like, do you just take the bag? How do you store that?
Yeah, that's what we have. We have bags of nacho cheese that are in our cheese dispenser. So
Mhm.
we just take the whole bag out, leave the tube sticking straight up because otherwise it'll leak all over,
Mhm.
and that the ice isn't getting into the tube, and then just put a layer of ice over top of it.
Great. Thank you.
If you have one of the pump ones of nacho cheese, take that out, set it, put ice in your food container first, then set that into there, saran wrap your cheese, and then put that in the fridge.
I was going to add one comment here that's we're growing in more unique challenges around allergies. So, as you think about cleaning and maintaining blenders and use of dairy products, be mindful of how you're using dairy and different high allergy areas. There's a few camps that have gone like with a peanut-free snack bar. Some of you are using soft serve that is not actually dairy based, and so you've got that flexibility. And some camps actually have some blenders, and one handle is colored one color and another is another for dairy. So just be aware that we have that more scenarios than we have in the past.
Yeah, we have two of those like milkshake things, and one is labeled no gluten on it because that's how we make our kind of blizzard treats. And then they use the other one. So. And yeah, on G, just, the 7 days, make sure you're putting the dates on these things when they're opened. All right, menu philosophy. Just right there, considering the price range of the product, the profits, the diversity, and health options, and ways to achieve. Some of these are going to be different for everybody because of the different regions you're in and the things that come and go. But part of my menu philosophy is wanting to have something for everybody so that everybody's feeling included. And then I look at the price range of everything. We don't want everything $5 and up. That's just why we have so many different things available, because candy's $1. That's pretty cheap. Or snow cones, those literally cost us like 5 cents to make, and we can sell them for $1 or even 50 cents. And then that's also looking at your prices on where you're getting your product. So you want to do a little research. You've got US Foods, you got Webstaurant to look at. And then there's other companies out there like Boxed to look at things. Some of your local shopping ones for Central Oregon was Grocers Outlet, which has now been bought by US Foods, but just different ones. In the East Coast, you have Gordon's that you can look at and see what prices are. So just be looking at that. And really offerings that you're covering everybody. I mean, yes, I get that not everybody can be covered, but that we're trying to create that space for everybody. But if there's any other ones, like how you guys are viewing how to achieve some of that, please share. We'd like to hear that. Or if something has been triggered, go ahead, take yourselves off mute.
I'll throw one in there, Tammy, to get started. 2 years ago in our impact session on concessions, we really started to explore how diversity shows up in our menu, in our offerings. So we challenged everyone to think about who's coming to their location and explore some different options, so that there's something for everyone. I think you said that. So think about who's coming and what they might enjoy having. I think, MC, you're on here. Crooked Creek was really doing a lot in the concession. Can you give an example of that?
Yeah, we brought in the mangonada that Amy mentioned and Angela explained. And then we also had a bunch of like little candies, like Mexican candies from like a Mexican's food mart that we had shopped at. So there was like like mango flavored suckers with like chili lime sauce, like, or chili lime like crust on it. And then we had like different little like different peanuts that had like flavorings on them that were like branded in that way. And so there is just like a couple things like that that we had pulled in and really did well with a lot of our like Denver areas, which is awesome. So
Thanks for that. The other thing that just to mention, we talk about good, better, best in our buying in the store. I think to Tammy's point around price range, look at your menu and have a good, better, best offering. Have something under $5, under $1. Have most of your product in that middle range from $2 to $5, $6, and then have some best options. I know in the past we've done group desserts. That's not very COVID friendly, so let's not do that this summer. But bait buckets and Paul Bunyan's, all of those types of things where like 10 scoops of ice cream, there might be a time when we can return to that. But those kind of that good, better, best. So, almost audit your own menu to say, do I have diversity represented? Do I have healthy and do I have salty and sweet? Do I have a range of price range? Kind of audit your own menu and see, is there enough range and profitability both?
And some of the healthy, you can look at LaCroix or bubbly, just having some of that. So that's another, a bubbly option if you don't carry soda water on your fountain machine already. Beef jerky. There's the mini kind bars. So there's just a few random things out there, but yeah, just not wanting a full menu of sugar.
Cheese sticks. I think I've seen cheese sticks.
Yeah, those hummus or cups.
And pretzels. Sometimes we've even gotten some fruit from the kitchen that we've kept on the counter. So we've done some different things. So
I don't know if this would be helpful or if it like applies to all the camps, but our US food vendor just let us know about a Sabra deal that was going on. Have y'all heard about this? No. So they send you the cooler and they stock it for free the very first time. And then you're only required to buy 6 cases in a 12-month period, which seems like a total deal. And so we're getting like 2 different kinds of hummus and pretzels, avocado toast, and then guacamole and these like little rolled up chip things. So yeah, you could ask your US Foods guy if that is in y'all's region too.
Amy's asking, what is it called?
Oh, it's Sabra, S-A-B-R-A. It's like that the hummus brand, Sabra. I'll try to I'll find the little thing he sent me and send it out to y'all. I don't know if it's like just in my area or I don't know anything about it, but it seems like a sweet deal. So we're gonna try it.
That sounds like a great deal. In walking through Sam's, so oftentimes I would get my candy from Sam's or Costco, and I literally would walk the aisles and pick out product, but then I'd be looking for some of those healthy food items that I just wouldn't be thinking about. But having some salty and some sweet, low cost options.
And then you're not on those ones, those healthy ones, you're not ordering such a big thing from US Foods necessarily. So if you're able to look at it at Sam's or Costco, you can try it out and see if it's really going before you take the big plunge. And then one other thing goes along with Sutton talking about having a cooler from Sabra. You can always check with your food service rep on some of the equipment because vendors do give us equipment if we're selling their product through it. So my nacho cheese dispensers came free to me because I buy the cheese that company sells through US Foods. And yeah, so there's other things you can look at. I mean, it's not worth it's worth asking that question versus spending money on equipment that we can get for free.
I also just wanted to share a hack that Jilly shared with me a while back. On US Foods, typing in SS, and you can see all, like, there's hummus, there's like Nutella, like all of these single serve options for snacks. And there's a ton of healthy stuff that I've got queued up on a list for, you know, future healthy options. So if you just type in SS, there's literally so much on US Foods that I didn't know existed.
Great tip.
Any questions before we move on?
I would add just one more thought is food is a commodity and food is trendy. So as you think about your concessions area, be aware of trends and be aware that the price is going to change because the price of food goes up and down, which is going to lead in beautifully to what you're going to talk about next.
Cost analysis. I mean, come on, who's not excited about this? Okay, so cost analysis, I'll share a screen of the current one that we have in Dropbox for you guys if you haven't seen it yet, and look at a few things. But the cost analysis you want to do in April before summer. And then as we head into the school season, you're going to look at that again in August, September, because who knows what's happening out in the market. Your milk prices go up and down literally how many times a year. We just don't keep track of it. But we don't want to keep going in every month because that once you set that price, you're good to keep it that way. So I will share the screen for our current one, which has everybody been able to find that in Dropbox and look at it? Of course, it's not showing up. Give me 1 second. I apologize. Well, are there questions that you guys have thought of before why I'm trying to find this file? I did have it up. I don't know what happened. I apologize.
Tammy, let me do a multiple screen share and try
Okay.
it now. Try it again now.
No, it's pulling up the vending spreadsheet that I had, but it's not hidden behind that one, I don't think, but I'll try it.
Oh, there we go.
No, that's not the right one. So this is kind of like when I feel like I'm talking on mute and I just completely botched the whole thing.
Well, not to worry. I'm going to give you a second to find that. I'm going to share my screen just for a little bit of laugh. This is, talk about commitment. This is Angela taking her call on Monday in the bathroom of Clearwater Cove. So when that tornado warning came on Monday, I actually thankful to you, Angela. I did not know the tornado warning happened. And when you texted, I'm like, oh, I should probably get into the basement. So, but here you are taking the call along with your cohorts there in the back.
Is Josh sitting on the toilet?
He
was.
Yep. And Jess, you can see, is having breakfast. Yeah.
They were talking really loud and I was like, guys, I've got to hear what they're saying. I looked very stressed in that picture. I was like, why do I look so worried?
Talk about dedication. Okay.
Okay, I have it.
All right, take it away.
Okay, so this is in your manual. The cost analysis, it goes through and you guys can fill in as need be. So if you don't sell LaCroix, don't worry about it. You don't have to figure out that price. Or if you have bubbly and you want to be very specific, go ahead and fill that in. But you're putting your cost in and then it goes along. You have your base retail adding in your tax and then the retail cost. And there's all these formulas already in there to give you the profit and the profit margin that you're going to be making on that item. We do factor in everything, which you'll see on the soft drink. You've got the soda, the cup, the lid, and the straw that's factored in. So don't let this become overwhelming to you right now as you're trying, because you're going to have to be looking at what you're paying for all of this in your big thing. So if you get 500 straws, you're going to take the cost of that divided by the 500 to get down to what you're paying per straw. And then you're going to input that in, and the formulas are all going to factor in the price for you. And so you can you go down and you're putting in everything that you sell in your snack bar to get to your cost analysis for what you're going to sell them for. But does anybody have questions about cost analysis?
I have one comment. Can you hit on the supply list tab?
Yes.
So this is kind of a running list by vendor. And this is where I would recommend that you put in your price by case and then let it calculate on that cost analysis. So you don't have to change that cost analysis. If you look at this kind of like a shopping list, and every year get onto US Foods, you can go to your saved order list and make sure you've got updated prices. You can pretty much go to that column on quantity/case. No, I'm sorry, case price. There it is. It says update cost annually. There it is, D3, column D. If you can update that and it's staying consistent, it will calculate all of those cost per ounce or cost per use for you, as well as the formula is linked to the cost analysis, so that if you updated your straw, it would update it in that column where it's straw for you. So just know that there's all kinds of layers of formula. So if you just focus on that one column on the supply list, you'll be set.
And you said this is in the manual or in Dropbox?
Yes, it's in Dropbox under concessions. And it's, one second, and I can tell you, I forget the number off the top of my head.
While she's looking that up, when you get that, we can just email it out to you. I would keep your own version on your desktop or on your retail because you want to customize this. If you don't serve LaCroix, for example, I would delete those. I would make this your own. And oftentimes I would give this to a specialist to update, or it's a little late to give it to an intern, but it's definitely a specialist. This can be a project to just go to that column and update it every year. Just so you know, I mean, we've had a couple operations where they didn't do this for a number of years, and every time the concessions was open, they were losing money because they had undercalculated their cost, so their retail wasn't actually turning a full profit. So this is just the small but very powerful business strategy needed to running a profitable snack bar.
And it's section 5, C1. So
Cool.
it's in Dropbox. It's an Excel spreadsheet.
Thank you. One other question too, Tammy, on that spreadsheet, it said like, I don't know if it was like sundae or milkshake, and it just said topping. Are you like calculating your most expensive topping or like an average?
I would go the most expensive, because really the toppings are probably one of our most expensive things in the snack bar. So I wouldn't be giving those out for free. Definitely be charging if people are adding extra, because I haven't looked, but I think we've paid like $50 before for one box of Oreo crumbs. So. Any questions on the cost analysis? Great. Vending, everybody's favorite. Right. Who, and you guys can just raise your hands. Who has their vendor manage their vending? Sam's it. So what that just means is they come in and stock it for her. They then cut a check. So some of these things like listings in here that's in their workflow factor into that. But again, at that point, Sam, you can just reach out, check with your coach on that, or even your admin manager. But with vending, we talked about this earlier. How many people need to be present when you open a machine? Yeah. Great. Perfect. 2 people always. So if you just follow the workflow here, you've got, checking the machine, preparing the deposits, which all of those forms are listed in your manual. And it does have, it's an Excel spreadsheet as well, just where to put things, but you're going to collect the money and that goes up to your admin office and they're going to be counting it. Which that is a change. So if there's any kind of questions on that, just feel free to ask, please. You've got your record deposit for that. And so you go from retail to the admin, filling in the reports, then to the bookkeeper, because that information is all going to get put into Lawson and then into your month end reports as well. And that's where it comes back to you on here. You're just going to validate that deposit and keep track.
I'm going to jump in. So last week's Monday retail update, I sent all kind of attachments, and one of them was the vending log. I had there was a great suggestion. Pam Oliver made it, and I think everyone should do this. Is she took the vending log and made it a Google sheet that she shared with her admin manager. So when the admin manager made the deposit for vending, the admin manager recorded it on the log. And then when you get the detailed trial balance, you could verify that every deposit had been checked off. And so there wasn't like emails to track, there wasn't a paper log. I thought it was a more of an automated way to do that. So I think that's a great win. And then one clarification, the admin do count our camp donation jars for us as an audit, but we still are the coin counters for vending. So when we do the counting again with 2 people, it's usually in our retail office and we take the completed deposit to the office. So I want to differentiate between those 2. So
Sorry about that. Yeah.
admin managers would not be happy if they were doing that all the time. Right, Annie? Wait a minute, what? Just the camp donation.
Quick question on my end. No. So going back with vending, I'm going to show you our restocking list. We just have an Excel spreadsheet that we list out everything on it with our PARs on there. So if it's something that you guys would like, I can always send it out to you and you can change it for whatever, but it's just what works best for your camp. Are you seeing the Excel or did it pull up Dropbox? Okay. So we have on here everything that we buy and then we list on hand and we have the formulas in there for when we have ideal stock it'll tell us what we need to order. So you can just pop it in. I don't count what we have in the machine. I count what I have in my warehouse. So if I have 6 cases of Coke on hand, I'm just then gonna order 2. So we're not overstocking ourselves on this. And again, it's going to be what works best for you guys at your properties. But for us, because we've got people that go in and place the orders, they're able to go in and see where our PARs have been set at. And then I just keep other random information in here. Like if we have to call Coke, the phone number's there with our account number. And then our text name and phone number are listed in here as well. We've been ordering online with Coke for the last 2 years. So we don't have to call in and put our account number in there. But if you're able to order online, that's great because you can set the dates. Like if you wanted to hold a week, you can get that order in there and then it'll come the week that you want it to come. But yeah, we list out everything, even the piece teas that we sell in the snack bar because that comes on the truck. And you're able to order lids and cups from the vendors as well. So sometimes we'll throw those on the truck because they tend to be just a little bit cheaper than US Foods. And your summer ordering, which all of this is listed here, it's just, you don't want to keep going every week depending on how far your trucks have to come. For us, they have to come 2 hours. They get a little upset with me if we order every week. So we do try to order twice a month or sometimes once a month. And I do request the latest expiration dates possible. So you want to watch that. And then just, again, the FIFO, first in, first out. It is a lot of work to move cases around sometimes, but at least you know you're getting that done. It's typically the specialist is in there or myself when that arrives. We don't always just pass that off to the interns because sometimes things just go awry and we want to just make sure we know what's happening. And then set the prices at the benchmark that we've already talked about at the 50%. And then some vendors will allow you to return expired soda. That's a conversation you're going to have with your rep to see where those guidelines fall on that. And if you need to move some soda faster, consider putting it into your snack bar. Just if you've got extra fridge space that you can get, they'll just buy it. I mean, I was shocked at how many cans kids were buying in one shot, even though they can go buy it out of the vending machine. They would just get it from the snack bar. Which then also goes to, if you need some extra Coke or Pepsi fridges, ask your rep. Doesn't cost anything. They'll give it to you as long as you carry the product in there. And then inventory transfers. So if guest services comes or food services and asks for product, you can do an internal transfer. You just need to figure out the cost of it off of your invoices and get that, know what line item to code it to and get that to your bookkeeper to move it. Yeah, and Amy's saying that they've lost money from their Coke vendor that they're not taking returns. Ours doesn't do it either. But again, you never know. I would ask to get clarification on that if they do take expired product back. If product arrives damaged, don't accept it. Send it right back on that truck. And your driver should be able to either get your credit or the rep will call with their credit on that one. Any vending questions?
I have a question for everyone. Show of hands, how many vending machines do you have on at your location? Okay, good to know. So just know that machines take people, energy to stock and to collect and manage. So if you have more than 3, now Sam, you're an exception. You can have as many as you want because they're maintaining it. But if you have more than 3 and you're not the ranch like Tammy, I would begin to evaluate the staffing that it takes to manage all that. We had one camp location that had 13 machines and they were selling their soda cans for $1. So they had way too many machines and they hadn't priced with enough to get profit. So every time they stocked their machine, they were losing money. So make sure that is not your situation. You know, vending is one of those things. If you're finding that kids are sneaking out or it's a distraction to what's happening at camp, there are timers where the machine, the tech or the delivery person can come out and make sure that it doesn't vend after a certain time and even changes the light, dims it at a certain time. So if you feel like it's becoming a distraction, there are functionality there.
Yeah, and you may want to consider, depending on, we've seen a decrease in the bottles. We've moved everything to cans. One, it's the cost. Two, it's the expiration dates last longer. So you can always consider that. You will have to have your tech come out and reset your machines for cans versus bottles. And then consider recycling. If you've also, you can have, sometimes your vendors, we've gotten recycled bottle bins from Coke, free. They'll just send them out. I have to request them, and then we can put them all over. Recycling for us is a little different. We kind of have to manage that, but sometimes people just want it there, even if it just goes into the trash.
I have a question. I was talking to our vendor the other week, and he said that he was going to bring like credit card readers because we don't have them on our vending machines right now, and so he's going to install them. Does that make, I guess maybe it's different for me because he does a lot of the like actual like stocking and things, but would that change like anything financially, like cash versus credit card? Is that gonna, doesn't
Not
matter?
for you. Not for you, because what they're doing is they're doing all the collection, all the stocking, and they're just sending you a check. So I would imagine that they've taken some type of fee, which you might be curious and ask, is it, how is the credit card fees established out of that? For us that are self-managing, most of it's still cash.
Yeah.
I have a one-off question that I've kind of got from staff. So since we're not offering cash back in the store, the snack bars, is there, I was asked about vending, like kids don't bring, money for vending, or they bring their parents' credit card. Is there any alternative, or is it just like no cash back? Sorry, see ya. Use your own vending money, I guess.
Well, we do offer change, so we can change out that $5 if they want to use that for the vending machine. We do that, but if they give us write us a check for 50, we're not giving them $40 in cash. That's the scenario we're not doing anymore. But we can make change anytime. That's a service.
How do y'all handle like a kid who comes up and says like, oh, the machine ate my $2?
We just give them $2. If we're able to go with them to that vending machine, we'll just either give them we take them at word. We don't, question them too much. Go to that machine, because if it ate it, there's something going on the inside that you might have to clear a jam. And at that point, so I'll just either give them their money back or say, what were you going for? And then give them that bottle or can.
Okay, easy enough. I remember, this might be helpful for Sam. I remember at Crooked Creek, Pam had like an Excel document that we tracked like what we would like give them change back, and then from like petty cash, and then Coke would pay us back. So I don't know if that's like how that works, but that could be something to look into, Sam, of how to do that. So I was just curious, but
yeah, no, that's a great question and a great procedure to go with, so that Sam does have that to go back to that vendor and say, here's what we've been giving out. But it does throw our cash off in the store, but we really want to be able to serve our guests well. And even if that's giving, two kids $2 back, that's $4.
And in that scenario, what I've done is I've had the summer staff just trained to write a note and stick it in the drawer. And then when we're doing our drawer report at the end of the shift, I'm taking $2 out of vending or petty cash, and I'm reimbursing the store. Just that simple. And then I'm settling that up when I do the vending deposit. So you don't want your drawer to be off. I realize we're at the top, but we have about 5 more minutes of content. Is everyone okay to stay on for about 5 more minutes? Okay, great. All right. That last section is just on product selection. You get to choose the mix of what goes in your vending machine. And there's a couple of things that we encourage you. First of all, regional selections. We want We know some people are in love with Dr. Pepper. We know that some folks love certain types of sodas in certain parts of the country, whether you serve root beer or Fresca or orange. So just be aware of your regional taste. Healthy options, we like to provide at least one offering in the vending machine that would be considered healthy, whether it's a Dasani water or it's something with lower sugar content. We also do not serve any energy drinks, and so we're conscious of our caffeine content. The worst distraction to the gospel in the clubroom is 100 junior high kids pumped up on Rockstar. So we want to avoid that. So no energy drinks. So we watch our caffeine content, nothing out of the norm there. And then pricing. We make sure that we set our prices in accordance to our profit margin. So it might feel a little uncomfortable to hit $2, but if that's what your buy-in price is in your region, then you need to set it around that. In the manual, there's a lot of troubleshooting guides that are just quick little know-hows. We've got some pictures in there, but my best, because I'm very tactile, is the first time I met with my supplier, I just had him just walk through, how do I serve a bottle jam or a bill jam, or how do I solve some basic problems? And he just showed me right there in the machine itself. They were little tricks and tips that really helped me not to have the vending machine be down for an entire day before a tech got there. So that's a great resource. All right.
Lots of times they want to show you that so they don't have to make a trip out. So just ask.
Any last minute things on vending? All right, guys. Well, that's our content for this module. So concessions and vending. I want to make, before we wrap up, I want to make a note on our homework. The next module on Monday will be on display and merchandising and crafts. So what I'd love for you all to do is to grab your iPhone between now and then, and I want you to take some pictures of a display that you like in the store and a display that you don't like in the store. And we're going to use those in our Monday session. Also take a picture of your craft area. It doesn't have to be fully, undone and set up, but just where it is. And if you do have one, a picture of your craft menu, because we'll use both of those. So that's a little bit of pre-work that would be helpful. As far as some next steps is, if you do not have an updated cost analysis, I would make that a high priority. It doesn't have to be done before Monday, but it does need to be started. So find it, begin to think through how to make that updated. Find your craft manual as well as your craft cost of sales. It gets one too. So we'll be talking about both of those and referencing. And then finally, raise your hand if you know or can put your hands on your camp design guide. Oh, this makes me so happy. Okay, every camp walked through a process of a theme definition document. It was a all hands on deck project with the camp manager, and often the retail manager was involved. But it is a 3 to 5 page document stating what are the themes, the color, the intention around the camp as a whole. So if you do not have a physical copy of that or a digital copy, please track that down. Start with your camp manager. You want to know what that is as an extension in all of the spaces. You want to bring that theme to life. I love that just happened at Lone Hollow Ranch. Amy, I'd love to see it if you want to send me a copy. And if you don't or can't find a copy, I should have everyone. So let me know. But I'd love for your camp manager to explain a little bit to you as to what is the theme at your location. I'm thinking about you guys at Frontier. For many years, it's been Cowboys and Indians. But during this design guide process, there was a very intentional shift. And you can look around Frontier and you can actually see in the railings around camp where it went from split ties to graded railings as they shifted their theme. So your theme should be expressed in all kinds of ways, including the snack bar, including the store. So we want to make sure that we're bringing that in with some continuity. Okay, that's a lot of homework. But some of the things that we're moving into are some of the more the subjective skills. So a lot of that needs some pictures to tell stories with. And so getting you guys set up there. Last thing on that list, like I said with the logos, something to put in the parking lot is if you have not gone onto the retail website, please do that in the next couple days. Make sure you know how to get there. And if you want a little bit of a scavenger hunt, see if you can find the YL barcode or SKU page that Beth referenced. See if you can find that, because that will be something you will use in the summer. That's all that I have and Tammy has. Any final questions, anything we can answer for you today about the homework, concessions, or vending? All right, guys. Well, go pour yourself a soda and a soft pretzel and have a great weekend. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank y'all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathleen and Tammy.
You're welcome. Bye.